Hey Busters, welcome back to another Digimon card game video. So today I figured I'd finally get off my butt and actually do what I said I would do and do like a deck overview. So for those who don't know, I play here in Japan in Saitama. So this deck is my aggro-Greymon deck that I used to win about 2 or 3 local tournaments. Here in Japan, unlike in the West or wherever with the English version, I hear like online. In the West, you guys do kind of like a best of 3 match. So here in Japan, it's not a best of 3, it's just straight 1 game, and if you win, you get 3 points. If you lose, it's 0, and then they say tie is about like 1 point, but there hasn't ever been a tie because usually when time's up, they go by whoever has the most security wins, and then if the security is the same, I think they go with a different thing. I can't quite remember, but it's never really been that. So usually here in Japan, tournaments here for me, there's usually about like 12 to 20 people. Depending, like usually more so when the new set drops. So yeah, so generally here in Japan, in order to win the tournament, you just have to win like 3 to 4, sometimes 5 straight games. So yeah, this specific deck, I won, I think one of the tournaments, I did have to win 5. Yeah, 5, because I thought I actually finished, and I was super happy, and then I had one more, so I was super nervous about that. But yeah, as always, you know, local tournaments aren't that much, you know, every prefecture here in Japan, probably even back home in the West, like each town, every player has their own kind of like play style. So generally each town has their own mini meta that you can build around. So, but yeah, so just take everything with a grain of salt. But to go over it, the basic deck is aggro. As you can see, you focus mainly just on attacking with 3s and 4s and using your security to offset the fact that your levels, every time you hit their security, you're probably going to end up losing. So yeah, to start off with our Digitamas, but yeah, as you guys can probably see, for those in the West, I'm running cards from like the newest set 7, although I'll give you guys alternatives for the West who are only up to set 5 and haven't had set 7 or 6 or even the red starter decks, the new structure deck. No, not the starter decks, but the red structure deck. So yeah, for Digitamas, here's my combo. I run 3 Koromons and 2 PuchiMeramons. PuchiMeramon is from set 6. However, I'll just go over. So his inherited effect is when you attack the player. So when you directed attack, not against a Digimon, but the opponent. So through security checks too, you get plus 1000 DP. So in other words, I want survivability, so I run 2 of those. And this is a Greymon theme deck, which is why I run Koromon, because every time I attack with the Greymon type, or Omegamon, but really Greymon, I get to draw 1, so I just gotta keep drawing more and more, because due to the lack of evolution. So yeah, I run that. But for those who, I guess, since you guys don't actually have access to PuchiMeramon, a good, I guess, substitute would be Digimon from set 2. His effect is pretty much the same, plus 1000. However, you need 5 cards in your opponent's trash, so his effect won't kick in quite as fast as you want, but still, it is something as a decent substitute. So moving on to the level 3s. So, and for my level 3s, I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 15 or 16 in here. You know, in other words, a basic amount, but it's decent enough because, you know, it's what it is. So first I run 4 copies of Saikyo Agumon. Saikyo in Japan here we call it Saikyo Agumon because it was the magazine promo. The magazine was called Saikyo Jump, so it's the promo. I think it was, you get these in dash packs in the West. So you run these because Agumon, and you get the great effect of if the Digimon it evolved into is a Greymon type, plus 2000 DP. So this is one of the better cards here in Japan. Recently, this thing skyrocketed to about like 15 bucks. So I was really happy. So I'm kind of sad. Like I actually bought a lot of these to sell to the local store because I earned like 5 bucks a piece, and now I could have earned way more. But card game stocks, right? And then next I run 3 of the basic starter red deck Agumon for his generic plus 1000 DP boost. 3 costs, so 3 of those. And these are the much better ones. This is the structure red deck Agumon, specifically the Agumon from the Digimon Savers one. So he's got the same Puchimon effect as when you attack the player. So not a Digimon, when you attack for a security check or directly to an opponent, it gains plus 2000 DP. So this is a really good boost, as you rarely actually attack the opponent Digimon unless, you know, they're hitting with something and you need to get rid of it, you're usually hitting the opponent, so this DP boost is really good. So full 4 of those playset. I run 2 starter deck Agumons because of not starter deck, sorry, booster 1 Agumons, because I do run Bonds of Courage and I do want the Taichis from set 6, which is quite good. So just 2 of those for searching. And sometimes like I notice when I shuffle, because you know it's when you're shuffling cards after each game, things get kind of like stuck together, so it's a good way when I kind of brick, you know, like, oh, I'm not drawing anything, I use this and just mill 5 and just speed through like the clumps. So there's that. And I run 2 Agumons from the double diamond set, so he's got the effect of on either player's turn, once per turn, every time when a Yagami Taichi is played, you gain 1 memory. So usually if you just have this out, it kind of acts as like a little extra security deterrent, because if the opponent attacks, they're going to lose some Digimon from security checks, and if they hit a Tamer, I still get 1 memory, which decreases their options or even push their turn over into my turn. So, and it's got the inherited of, if this Digimon is a Agumon Bonds of Courage, security attack +1, so it's pretty good, you know, goes with that. But I only run 2, so that, yeah. But specifically, I guess, but yeah, actually, I'll just go over, what is it, substitute cards a bit later. I just want to quickly go over it, but yeah. So I do run to these, and then for our level 4s, I run 4 security GeoGreymon. So these come in the red structure deck. It's really good, actually. It's a 6 play cost 2 evil 5000 with security effect of, at the end of the battle, after you do the DP comparison, play this card cost free onto the field, and it also combos, synergizes itself with its on play effect of, when you play it, destroy an opponent opponent Digimon that's 4000 DP or less. So in other words, you hit security check 5000, you might get rid of a level 3, maybe a level 4 if you're lucky, and then you play it and then you destroy something else. So it's really good against some Jesmon decks, because it'll get rid of their, what is it, Sistermon Blan, the white one, because that thing just gives blocker, really hinders. Like this deck, like block is terrible, is a bad matchup against blockers, but it does fare well. So you run 4 of those. And then I run 2 security normal set 4, I think, set 3 security Greymons. You know, same effect. When it's checked as security, play it cost free. Just run 2 of those because 1, it's a Greymon, and 2, security. So yeah, so this deck, as you can kind of already see, it's just you attack, and you just hope for security, tamers, or options in your in the security checks to, you know, really help speed up your aggro. And then moving on, I run 3 Koromons, the blockers. So generic, it is what it is, blocker. For those wondering why I don't actually run Monochromon, the reason is being here in Japan, or at least in set 6, with the introduction of, well, it's pretty much since Shoutmon D-Cross, Red, and some other, they're pretty much destruction cards generally now target 5000 or less, especially Jesmon. So in other words, if you use Monochromon for its 5000 DP, you're pretty much running the risk of just losing the blocker before you can even block. And the 6000 DP is pretty good. There are some, you're able to kind of overpower some of the other stuff, so that's why I run Koromon, despite the 2 cost evo. So 3 of those. And then I run 2 Agumons. So Agumon is great, evolves into a Tamer, and then you just get that extra hit in for a final finish. So, you know, because it evolves from a Tamer, it kind of bypasses the summon in sickness, or, you know, unable to attack on play. So it's really good, and it's only 2 costs, so 2 of those. I think I used to run more, but I updated it, and I run 3 GeoGreymons. This comboed with the Agumon. So as you guys probably, I think it was a dash pack in the Northwest. So it's pretty much got the effect of, if this evolved from an Agumon underneath, security attack +1. So this is one of your, like, you really want to be, if you're really lucky, you get this out right away and check for 2. Reason being, it's you combine it with, although it's Koromon, if you can get PuchiMeramon and one of your DP boosting Agumons, you're hitting for about 8000 for 2 checks right away, which is pretty decent considering, you know, opponent's deck generally half of them is level 3 and 4 and some tamers, so you have a decent chance of surviving and getting 2 hits in. So I run 3 of these. Before I used to run 4, but then as you know, more and more cards came out, such as the SecurityGreymon, and I revised it to include Bonds of Courage, I took some out, but yes. So there's that. So generally that's the whole style, like Agumon, Greymon, hit, and just keep spamming Agumons. And then for our higher levels, as you can see, it's actually a mix. So the thing is, you don't really go past level 4 in this deck. So I'll just start off with this way. So the only level 5 is GeoGreymon from the Classic Collection. This one, honestly, I just recently put it in. I'm not too sure how well it worked. It worked out fine, like in a clutch move, but it is pretty good because sometimes, depending on like the opponent's deck, because depending on matchup, like sometimes you're up against I think the West calls it Mega Zoo. I'm not sure why it's Zoo, probably because of all the animals or something. But like here in the West, when you run against like Ultimate decks, Q decks, where they just only run level 5, 6, pretty much they're called security controls. So for that, by using GeoGreymon, I'm able to. It does have pretty much the same effect of security attack +1. However, much higher DP. In other words, with a full boost, I can boost this to about 10,000 or even 11,000. And I get 2 hits, so that's really good to like help survive to get those checks in. And it's also got the trade-off-ish of when you, at the end of the attack step, this Digimon destroys itself, and it's got a destruction effect of when it's destroyed, play an Agumon cost-free from your trash. So because you're only running Agumons, if you evolved up to this, you will definitely get something back. So it's kind of almost like a 3 check. You hit for 2, destroyed, bring 1 back, evolve next turn, and keep going. So however, it's not like a much needed card, so you can definitely take some of these out for something else. Holy Dramons, I run 3, and the reason is this is a kind of almost security control deck because you're constantly going to lose security. When the opponent sees like your playstyle, they're going to know what's up, they're going to hit fast, so you're going to want to constantly recover. And the great thing is, you play 11, it's 11 cost, meaning you're guaranteed you're going to be able to play this no matter, even if you start with 1 memory. It's a 10,000 beater, and you recover 2 when you're down to 3 or less. And the second option, you can't really use it unless, say, you run a Bushi Agumon, which I don't. You can, but I don't really because it's just not worth it, but still really good. I used to run 4, but I had to take some cards out and some options to include these 2 bad boys. But yes, these are definitely must-haves, Holy Dramons. Here we got Agumon Bonds of Courage. I run 2. Bonds of Courage is, I currently run for kind of like an ace, hidden ace card that's just really good in like when you're really stuck, because it's a 14,000 security option, so it's a strong security card, and it's got the effect of when you attack and you have a player, Tamer, which most of the times you should, destroy an opponent 13,000 or less, boom, and synergizes with its other effect once per turn. When you destroy an opponent Digimon, you trash their top security. So in other words, just by running this, if you can get this out, not from evolving though, of course. If for those who don't know in the West, you're going to synergize it with a Tamer later, Taichi. But when you get this out, it's pretty much if the opponent has something there, you're hitting for 2. Because you attack, actually 3, 1, 2, yeah, 2, sorry. Maybe 3 if you combine with this specific Agumon, but yeah. So in other words, this is one of the ways to help you get rid of some opponent strong Digimon, so really good card. But I only run 2 because you don't want more, because this deck isn't a Bonds of Courage deck, it's more of an aggro-Greymon deck, with this just kind of like as a tech card, so you don't really need it, but it's just pretty good. It kind of acts as like a faux security destruction card. For Tamers, I run 2 Daimon Masorus because of all the Greymons. Every time I attack, I can get a memory, and I want to have the more memory I got, the better, so I run 2 of those. I think I used to run other stuff before, which I'll go over later, and I run 3 Yagami Taichis from Double Diamond, Last Kizuna. So this is actually a really, really good card. It's really strong too. So it's a 3 cost card with the effect of every time you move an Agumon or Greymon type, so a Digimon with Agumon or Greymon in its name from your raising area onto the field, you draw 1 and gain +1 memory. So, and the thing is, if you got 3, they stack, and the even better part is they don't actually, like, you need to rest them to use their effect. They're just passive, meaning you do this, is if you move this, move an Agumon forward, you start with 1, move an Agumon forward, draw 1 memory, boom, evolve this to Agunimon, because it only costs 2, and you got 2 hits in right there. Unlike some like Masaru or other ones who have kind of rest themselves, once they're rested, even if you evolve to Agunimon, you can't attack because they are rested, or I guess suspended, so that's why the passive effect is really good. And the other one is its main effect once per turn is pretty much if you have an Agumon on the field, has to be in the field, not in your raising area, of course, because you can't target anything in raising area and you're only running Agumon. When you have one just on the field, you may evolve into your Bonds of Courage. By ignoring, you can just warp evolve from level 3 to level 7 by paying a cost of 3 and trashing the top 2 of your security, with the effect of after you trash the 2, if you have one or more security left in your pile, the Bonds of Courage is destroyed at the end of the turn. Right? Yeah, yeah, so one or more. So in other words, you have to, once you use this effect, unless you have 0 security, Bonds of Courage dies at the end of turn. However, the ruling is that this check is upon evolution. So once you evolve, if your turn hasn't actually ended, and you still have memory, and you play Holy Dramon or somehow recover, you can actually keep your Bonds of Courage on the field and still have security at the end of your turn. So just a quick note of that. But yes, it's a really good card. That's why we run 3. Draw power and free memory. And if you can, if you're lucky, you combo with that. And finally, for the options, it's actually a lot less than before. After I made it Bonds of Courage, I used to run more, but you do run quite a few, options. So first here, I run a 7 cost, the brand new from set 7, Gigastorm. I just run 2 of those. It pretty much allows you to destroy up to 2 opponent Digimon with 8,000 or less. So it's pretty decent. It's a pretty good card. So, helps you get rid of 2 level 5s or lower pesky Digimon. Unless they have a level 6, it's kind of sad, but so I run 2 of those as, against swarming decks, like if they got Omegamon Sword or something. I run 3 Gray Swords, so you guys have this in the West. It's 11,000 DP. Destroy. It's not like an all-encompassing like Gaia Force where it's just destroy anything. It's restricted to 11,000 or less. However, if you have a Greymon on the field, change it to 15,000, which is pretty much everything. Since it'll be on your turn. On opponent's turn, there are some things you can't kill, but still really good. And with this deck, like you'll generally usually have a Greymon on the field when you play it from your hand. And sometimes, even if you're lucky, if they say hit like 2 security checks, hit a Security-Greymon, and then this, boom, you got the requirements. And of course, easy 4 Gaia Force for just no questions asked, destroy anything you want. So that's pretty much the deck. So yeah, that's pretty much the theme of the deck. You just evolve into this, and they just hit. That's generally the basic playstyle. There is no like play defensive. The only thing it is you have to kind of look out for is, I guess, when running this deck, is know the opponent's deck and playstyle and figure out like, okay, should you just keep going aggroing and just keep going on, or if they're, say, playing a Jesmon deck, or like, oh, they're building up, there's something big's coming up, I better save one of these or destroy it now. And like sometimes I also notice like a key part of playing the game is remembering what your opponent's playing and why they're playing it. So like there's some games where I play an opponent Jesmon, and I noticed like he's not evolving his level 4 into a level 5, which suggests he doesn't have a level 5. So as soon as I saw him evolve a level 5 and move it out, I didn't wait for the Jesmon, which usually you should, because once you destroy this Jesmon, there's no way for him to get it back. I just instantly destroyed it, giving him tons of memory. However, it was fine because I knew he didn't have the cards he needed to rebuild, so it actually stalled him out. So just keep it up. But yeah, that's pretty much the deck. I guess for you guys who are still running set 5, Battle of Omega, you do have this substitute for PuchiMeramon. As I've said before, Gigimon's a good substitute. Honestly, this Agumon, since you won't be able to run Bonds of Courage, you can just straight up remove these for other Agumons. I do kind of like the searching ones. All the other Agumons are available in the West, except for these Agumons, which are really good. While they aren't, they are staple once you have it, but they're not that valuable in the sense that if you don't have it, security checks are always up to luck. So the 2000 boost helps increase your odds of surviving, but the thing is, if they're only running stuff and you survive regardless, it's not that important. So, but there are lots of different, but because it's a Greymon, your options are, I think, these ones currently in the West. You got this this one's not bad. I'd say if you had to change it up with this one, because it helps you search out for your Greymons. So it's got the effect. There's the booster set 5, Battle of Omegamon one, where play for 3, open 3, and then add a Greymon or Omegamon to your hand. So a good searcher card is worth running. The other one, Digiburst Agumon, is just no if you really want an Agumon instead of a 1. So the other trade-off would just be here. So really up to you guys what you want. I mean, you could, if you want to replace this with a non-Agumon and something else, like a Monodramon, or I don't know, something with like a better effect. That's fine too. This is just the way I built it, of course. As for Greymons, I know you guys have these, Agumons, Koromon, SecurityGreymons. The only one that's not currently available in the West is GeoGreymons. These are actually really important, as the thing is, in this deck, if you look, I think I got about like, was it 9 options here, 5 from here, and then like 2, like half of these are pretty strong. So you got like what, 9, 10, like about 20 cards in the deck are strong cards you want in your security option. And then these security checks are quite vital, especially with this destruction effect. However, you know, of course, once you tweak it up a bit with different playstyles, yeah, I think you could replace these with, you do want Greymons. So, I mean, the only real options are, again, booster set 5 Greymon, just for a speedy, so you trade off the destruction for, you know, just evolving for 1 and getting a couple more hits in. And if you manage to get Skull Greymon, you know, a bit more DP attack, you can also run, like I said, Monokromon for just more blockers. GeoGreymon, I guess, if you run GeoGreymon here for its Digiburst effect, I would say run this Agumon if you're lucky, so you can return it to your hand. And you can also run booster set 1 Greymon for the DP boost if at that point, because you can't run Bonds of Courage, I would say run Metal Greymon from maybe, what is it, the booster set 1, the secret rare, which pretty much you lose 5 memory but you check for 3, so boosted up is a really good option. So there's just that. Oops, sorry Buster, come back up buddy. So yeah, Holy Dramon, vital for sure. Skull Greymons, I would say, like Skull Greymon and Bonds of Courage, if you have to replace them, I would recommend, like I said, if you have options to it and it's cheap in the West, I don't know, secret rare Metal Greymon from booster set 1. It costs 3, 9000 DP, and it's got, when you attack, -5 memory. However, security attack +2. So in other words, you combine it with all the DP boosting, and if you're happy to manage to get this one or other stuff, you can boost it easily to a pretty much 12,000 DP 3 costing check. So that's definitely worth a -5 memory in my opinion. Holy Dramons are a must. I would say if you can't, boost this Holy Dramon up to 4, and then however, if you don't have access, another good drop is Volcanic Dramon. You know, in booster set 2 meta, it was great. Everyone ran it in all decks, splashable. You know, reason being, it's you just pretty much get like security attack +1, as well as a 4000 DP destruction, destroy everything, all opponent Digimon. So it's a really good option card. Yeah. Another good card, I guess, for replacing some of the Tamers, as you guys probably don't have. Masaru you guys definitely have, so I have to just run that. I would say because of the Taichis, replace Taichis with either 1 more Masaru, or you can just reduce the amount of Tamers. But another good option is actually set 5 Nokia. Nokia-chan is really good. Obviously, reason is you're running tons of Agumon, so on play, boom, play another one, and then using her effect to decrease the evolution cost is a good way to manage memory management. So Nokia is a good substitute for Yagami Taichi. The only drawback for Nokia is that because she's a white tamer, you're not actually able to evolve Agumon into her, but still, I think maybe a good balance would be maybe like 2 Nokias and 3 Daimon Masarus would be a good option. For those wondering why you wouldn't run Taichi, is because you're pretty much running him for just the basic 3 memory, and because you can't actually use the bottom effect of security attack +1 when you have 4 more evolution sources, it's at that point you just run Daimon Masaru instead of this, or just any other red and any other Tamer. So that's why you don't run this one. You could run starter deck Taichi, the 2-cost one that just gives you a DP boost. That's okay too, but at a cost of 2, I'd say just run Nokia instead. For 1 more cost, you're able to gain some memory benefits off of that. So there's that. And for what is it? I guess because of how my deck is broken down like this, if you remove the bonds of courage aspects of it, and some of these to match the just the Battle of Mega set 5 meta, you'll definitely have a bit more options. So this one, the Gigastorm, funny enough, it's not Gigastorm. There's an easy substitute for this. Once you have the red structure deck, which is Atomic Blaster. It's pretty much the same thing, except this one's a 5-cost, and you can destroy. You can choose an opponent Digimon up to until 8,000 DP and destroy them all. So you can have a combination of like 2,000, 2,000, 3,000. 3,000, or no, sorry, 3,000, 3,000, 2,000, or it's a couple 1,000, or just one 8,000. So this one is quite Atomic Blaster is quite versatile, and it's got a low cost of 5. However, I replaced this with these just because while this one is good, I found myself more often than not just using it to destroy a single target over multiple targets. There are a few cases like Jesmon where I'm able to destroy like both of their sister mons. However, outside of those decks, this new Gigastorm, while a bit more heavier cost, is a little bit better when checked as security, because it guarantees you 2, right? And it's pretty much slightly better. I just prefer the extra cost over these, but yeah, you can definitely replace it with this. If you don't have this, another good option, kind of decent option, would be Gravity Breaths or Gravity Press. This one, while is not a destruction effect and doesn't act, but if you can get this in hand, it's not bad. Sure, you're borrowing 2 memory, but that extra 2 memory could spell the difference between like winning and losing. If you're just off by that 1 or 2 extra memory to evolve into Agumon, or just to evolve to get that final hit, it does make a difference. So, but of course, but honestly, at that point, I'd say probably your best bet would just be to run 4 Gaia Force and 4 Gray Swords as your breakdown of just those options, and then trading off the Bonds of Courage and the Skull Greymons for a couple more Agumons, and replacing the GeoGreymons with maybe another blocker, like because I run like 4 of the GeoGreymons and 2 of the other Security Greymons. So at that point, I'd say probably just mix it up and just run 4 of these, and because you don't have these, replace the other ones with maybe a couple more blockers. But how well that'll run, I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's basically it, Busters, for this aggro-Greymon deck that I used. Overall, it's pretty consistent. The pros are, you can you're not really gonna brick unless you can't hit Agumons, in which case you should just kind of tweak the balance. But more often than not, it's a really fast deck, and the cool thing is, I mean, it's more like a gambling deck, honestly. It's no matter what the opponent does, you do have a decently high chance of destroying them, and they know that, so they generally play safe. So it's good against most decks. The only thing against this would be blocker type decks. That's like really hard to handle, or maybe even Hex Blau decks, because they'll lock you out. However, one of my friends, I played one of my friends, and he used a Hex Blau deck, and he locked me out. However, like as soon as I played like a Gaia Force and destroyed it, like my field had like 8 Digimon, so suddenly all of them were just like unlocked, and he lost next turn. So yeah, overall it's a really easy deck to run, honestly. Like all aggro decks, you don't need much thinking, I guess, in terms of this. It kind of autopilots itself. The only thinking would just be you figuring out whether or not next turn you can deal lethal or the opponent can deal lethal, and then whether or not you should recover and stuff. And also, I guess generally you want to check your own trash to see how many of your options have been used, and then you can kind of gauge like the the odds or percentage of you when you're healing, grabbing another of the option cards. But yeah, overall it's quite an easy deck to build. I'm honestly not sure about, I guess, the card prices back in the West. So, but I think technically you could consider this a budget deck, because I generally like playing budget decks. I don't really like playing like tier 1 stuff. One, because they're too expensive, and two, it's not like it's not like tier 1s are like pay to win, because it's a card game. There is no real pay to win, because most of the time it is kind of like down to luck. At least here for Digimon cards, because of the security and stuff. So there is, and then at this point, this deck is purely just focusing on luck. So I recommend this deck for those who like want to try like a different kind of aggro deck, where it's not just straight aggro with a bit more strategy, and or those who just really love testing their luck. This is a great luck game where everything's just down to luck. You know, great with friends. In tournaments, you know, it's definitely like, ooh, really wears out your heart for every time you hit, and you know, you're revealing these and you're like, oh my god, what are the odds none of this come out? But for the most part, every time I play, you're almost guaranteed at least one like option card or tamer in your security. So surprisingly though, even when I ran 4 Greymons and 4 GeoGreymon security, like when I first built it, they never came out in security, so that was annoying. But yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys have any questions or comments about how to run this deck a little bit more, or like some combos, I mean, honestly, there's not that many combos. It's just straight up evolve, try to get as DP boosting and just hit. But yeah, if you guys wanted some more info on some things, or why I chose certain cards, or maybe some replacements for some other cards, because maybe you're missing just like say securities and stuff, let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to you on that. And as always, guys, thanks you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe hopefully this gave you a good idea for building a nice cheap budget deck for you guys to run. Because I do know, like in the West, like Digimon cards, apparently the prices are quite insane because of like supply and demand. So, but yeah, probably if you guys are interested, I probably might just make another one. I do have another yellow, really low budget. I think it's like a couple bucks. Like in Japan, maybe like 500 yen, a really cheap yellow aggro deck that worked quite well. It actually helped me win, I think I won 5 or 6 in a row on the recent online tournament using the what is it, Bandai Namco, not Bandai Namco, the Bandai TCG online app, where we do just tournaments because of Corona, so we just do it online. So yeah, granted that one was more of a casual tournament, so some people were playing for keeps and some weren't. I was using aggro because once you hit 6 wins, you gain a certain winners promo, and I was missing that one, so that's why I did it. But yeah, if you're interested, I'll probably throw out another deck review of that one, or maybe my green deck. So yeah, hopefully you guys are interested and stick around to see that one too. Anyways, this is Buster-kun here, off to find Curly Rudy.